Sarah Huckabee Sanders is dangerous. I think she is in the running to be a VP pick. They see her as the gifted one. I think she's even more dangerous than Ron DeSantis. I think you're going to see, maybe equally, the work she's going to put in with Arkansas. I mean, that speech, that what she delivered, the response, it was it was just reeking of just coded Southern strategy language. Bringing up trans people, Biden didn't even mention trans people. What? Why are trans people in it? Bring it up. It reminded me of when Tim Scott gave his response. Remember that? And he said, America is not a racist country. But nobody said that. Not one senator says America is a racist country. But they find a way to shift. That's another reason why I didn't need the State of the Union address. I didn't need to see their ridiculous response. She's very, very dangerous. I think she has the capacity to really win and bring in those Southern Strategy 2.0 voters.
I disagree.
Really? Break it
Yeah,
down.
I think she is
Y'all
dangerous.
disagree with me today?
I think she is dangerous for the reasons you mentioned, but I think she suffers from the same problem that Donald Trump does. Not to mention her association with Donald Trump, whom she lauded last night, but never mentioned him by name, oddly enough. How do you say that you're the young mother who's the future of the party when you're supporting a guy who's an 80-year-old presidential candidate who was involved with the insurrection to destroy our democracy? I mean, I think she has too much baggage associated with her, first of all, because of her Trump associations, but also feel like she's touting the same sort of woke mob ideology language of the right, this culture war that is very effective if you want to be governor of Arkansas or governor of Florida or Texas, apparently, or if you want to be a member of the House of Representatives from a particularly red district. It's not effective if you want to win in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, the swing states that a Republican needs in order to win the presidency. And that's the problem that she has. Now, I think what they'll probably do, you're right, is they'll put her on the ticket if she's still popular at that time, because they see her as an alternative to Kamala Harris. Because they're going to run, if Biden runs and Kamala's on the ticket, they're going to run an anti-Kamala campaign. And they're going to say, well, do you really want, because they're going to demonize her with racism and sexism as a black woman. And they're going to say, do you really want Kamala Harris to be a heartbeat away from the guy who's 80 years old running for re-election? You know, that's going to be their message. So they're going to give you Sarah Huckabee Sanders, say, hey, we're not sexist. We got a woman too who's running for us, but a woman who doesn't believe in a woman's right to choose, a woman who's associated with Donald Trump, a woman who defended Donald Trump despite all his sexual assault allegations, a woman who's promoting an ideology that doesn't appeal to suburban housewives. It appeals to the culture warriors on Fox News and OANN. So I don't think she's as effective a communicator as you think that she is. I think she's dangerous because she's putting on a younger face on a used model. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, as somebody once said about Sarah Palin.
Keith, it sounds like that you think that Trumpism is over, and that it's not going to resonate. I
don't think I never said that. I said Trumpism is here to stay. But Trumpism got 74 million votes in the last election after everything he did.
Yeah, but you were saying that, you know, she one of her baggage is Trump.
Because that doesn't work though. Look at what happened in the midterms. I mean, Trump has cost them 3 consecutive elections. He won in 2016, but he lost the popular vote. He lost in 2018. They lost seats because of Trump. They lost in 2020 because of Trump, and they lost in 2022 because of Trump.
They're
With 4 consecutive elections.
They're I mean, in their mind, they got the House. He's still the party leader. I don't think Trump is baggage.
This system is rigged because we talked about this before. The electoral college. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. The electoral college. We talked about the House of Representatives being gerrymandered. We talked about the Senate being disproportionate because the small states have overrepresentation. All those structural factors that impede the ability of Democrats to be elected and to be representative, but the majority of the public support. If you look through all those issues that Biden talked about last night,
They don't care
95%
about
of them did. A majority of the public supports those issues.
They care about
support
winning.
those things.
They care about winning. Go ahead, Amisha.
I would say that the Republican Party, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and to a lesser extent, Governor DeSantis as well, the Republican Party is not refining its message; they're refining the messenger. At the end of the day, they know that Trump's words, his rhetoric, his anti-immigrant sentiments, his racist sentiments, his anti-LGBT sentiments, they resonate with a large swath of the Republican Party, a large swath of conservative voters. Yes, obviously in swing states, you're going to have a hard road to hoe trying to get those things through, but it keeps their fundraising in their coffers. It ensures that they are going to have longevity. It ensures that, many, especially within their congressional districts, are going to be elected to the end of time. Marjorie Taylor Greene is in a very safe seat. It also makes sense to them to keep this going because at the end of the day, their process of winning isn't to change people's minds. They're not trying to bring younger people into the fold. They're not trying to bring Black people or Latino people in any type of real way. They're not trying to bring these people into the fold. What they're trying to do is block them from entering the ballot box in general through voter restrictions, through getting rid of early voting, through all of those things. Meanwhile, because a lot of these races are won within the margins anyway. It's not like they have to take it's not a winner take all in the sense that they only need a small population of minorities or young people to stay the hell at home or to get disengaged with the system. That's why they keep running these campaigns to diminish the value in our court system or in our education system. Because the more you diminish the value in America's systems, the more people move away from actually wanting to take part in their democracy. They have a plan. And this plan, they've been refining for years. They just teetered in the wrong direction with Donald Trump, but they are going to utilize other people. And I do think Sarah Huckabee Sanders could potentially be a vice presidential pick, but I think that the smarter choice would probably be Nikki Haley. And as we've seen from Nikki Haley knows that, and because I'm not saying she's going to come out and be the nominee for the Republican Party, but I do think that she could be a vice presidential contender because to your point, Keith, anytime you're running a minority woman, a Black woman, on a vice presidential ticket for the Democrats, I feel like Republicans are going to do the exact same thing they did when John McCain was running. They're going to try to match weight for weight. And they see that there needs to be a woman in that position because what they want to do is isolate and not say that, they're not showing gender equity. If you have a woman leader, they want to have a woman leader. They want to have it on par. I think that even from the comments that we've seen from South Carolina, at the end of the day, she's even moved closer to Trump. We know that she left. She left her post while Trump was in office because she didn't want to get tangled in that web of craziness that was him. But as she continues to, position herself as a presidential candidate that she's announced, she is moving more towards that messaging. Not to the crazy that we saw from Sarah Huckabee last night, but she's leaning into the culture wars as well in a way that she wasn't doing when Trump was actually saying those things.
And the fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders did not mention Donald Trump tells you everything that you need to know about where the Republican Party is. They like the energy, but they know that Trumpism is toxic. They're afraid of it. It's like they can't help it because it's like a drug to them. They love it, but they know it's unhealthy for them.
Well, they know Trump is toxic. I think that they enjoy Trumpism as well. To Clay's point a minute ago, they enjoy winning. And with Trumpism, they have been able to win. Trump was the dead weight that basically tanked them in the midterms. He was also the dead weight that tanked them after in the last presidential election because he kept running there's election fraud claims well into the Georgia Senate race. It's very interesting to me that the Republicans aren't moving away from the very things that turned off voters, especially in some of these swing districts. But
Amisha, how are they winning under Trump? I don't understand how they're losing under Trump. What do they
lost under the head of the RNC as well. They lost under her, and she's still there.
But you say Trump is helping them win. How is Trump helping them win?
Trumpism is helping them win, not Trump. They want to get rid of Trump. Trumpism is here to stay.
But in Keith, in their mind, I think they're unsure because folks have doubted Trump before. And he's won. But in their mind, they have the House, which they should have had it by a larger margin. But a win is a win in their mind. In their mind, they have J.D. Vance, got into Ohio. A win is a win in their mind. So I don't think that they fully see Trumpism as a failure. I see why we see it as a failure. But I think that it's quite possible that he gets that nomination and Sarah Huckabee Sanders or Tim Scott is his nominee. And they don't listen. You would think they would have killed things with Nixonism. They found Reagan. I mean, I don't know. I think that they're going to find I don't know. They're insidious with it. So in their mind, there have been some wins. I don't think it makes sense, but making sense doesn't matter. Because they're not going to craft policy that will appeal to young people or that will appeal to black folks, right? They're going to look whatever devilish way they can to use Barry Goldwater, Nixon 2.0 strategy to win. And they still have to kiss the ring of Trump. They still have to kiss his ring. So it's a weird balance.
Nixon talked about crime. Reagan talked about welfare and taxes. Those are things that were universal that people of all different races and communities could relate to, whether or not I agree with it. The Republicans don't have a universal message anymore. They are not a serious governing party. They're not making any pretense of being so. They don't mind if they want to win, but they're only winning because
in their mind they do. But Keith, in their mind they do. It's the culture war. It's
the universal message is fear. That's what's driving the culture wars. Fear of the LGBT community, scaring the hell out of people that
in their mind.
That's not a universal message anymore. That was a universal message 10, 20 years ago when the electorate was different, but now as the electorate is evolving,
those suburban moms who voted in Virginia and made sure that got a governor that is basically dismantling the education system, it works. I think again, there are places where this works, and it's like it is on steroids.
In places it does work. There's no doubt about that, but it's not a universal governing national message, and that's the problem. I mean, there's no legs for this. You can't. There's no sustainability for a message that's just about culture wars. And if the Republicans continue to go down this route, and that's what they choose, apparently, they are going to lose.
But Keith, they've been doing. I mean, that's part of the reason why we have the shift in the 50s and 60s. The culture. I know we talk about small government, but the culture wars is essentially how the GOP has been winning for decades. Scare white people. Scare white people. That's been their winning strategy.
No, I get that. I get that. But I'm saying, but the genius, if you will, of the evil Southern strategy in the culture wars is that they had something else to say. They weren't just, it's the Lee Atwater quote. They weren't just saying, we're going to scare white people. They're offering, I'm saying they were talking about crime in the past. They had solutions for that. They were talking about taxes and they had solutions. They don't have anything new to offer now. They have nothing but the culture war. That's not an effective message.
Meanwhile, culture wars and limiting voting rights. It's a winning strategy. If you get these people to stay the hell at home and you block them,
the limited voting rights.
That's their plan. Culture wars.
I think we all agree. I think we all agree here that they don't have a policy. They don't have a platform. I kind of see what you're saying. They're not saying small government, but I think in their mind, they think we still have a winning strategy. These immigrants, they're coming over, they're taking over, these N-words, freedom of speech, your freedoms, they're coming, they're taking over. It's almost the Confederacy. So I see what you're saying, Keith, from like a logical perspective, but I think they're going to try and ride this all the way out.